Listen, in this video, I'm going to recommend to all of you what I think is the ultimate immersion material for Korean learners. That might sound like hyperbole, but I'm totally serious here. This is a banger. 안녕하세요. 한국어 배치의 이한입니다. I know how tough it is to find the right immersion material. You find something that's interesting, but it's way too difficult. You find something that's the right level, but it's not that interesting. You find something that checks both of those boxes, but there's not enough of it to satisfy your appetite, your hunger for learning. But no, today we're solution oriented. In this video, I want to tell you about 피식대학 and why I think you should be using their content as immersion material for learning Korean. Now, before you rush over and subscribe to their channel, I want to take just 1 second to ask you kindly to subscribe to this channel as well. A lot of people that are watching the content that I'm making are not subscribed to the channel. And so in the future, so you can continue to see, the cool content that I'm making, subscribe, please. And if you ring the bell, you'll get notified because I am on an upload schedule now. So I'm doing 1 to 2 pieces of content weekly for good, for the foreseeable future. I've got a plan. Okay, so 피식대학. 피식대학 is a YouTube channel made by 3 comedians, or 개그맨 in Korean. Gagman, yeah, I know. That's the best word anyone could come up with. Anyway, Pisek is the Korean word for like a snort, a giggle, a snicker. It's like this kind of sound. 대학, of course, is a university. And their slogan for the channel is 코미디 인재 육성 및 연구의 메카, or the mecca of fostering and researching comedic talent. Anyway, everything involving any major company here in Korea, including media companies, involves like exams and auditions and test scores and contracts and all kinds of team joining stuff. And the guys behind 피식대학, 이용주, 정재형, and 김민수, made it into the major network systems as comedians for live improv programs. If you're a fan of K-pop idol culture, it's pretty similar to that, where a lot of talent gets retained by major companies, but very few people actually get put onto a stage. Now, that being said, the comedy scene on live TV has mostly dried up in the last few years. Networks seem to be opting more for either 예능 shows or like dating game shows where established celebrities kind of like watch the show and give boring commentary on what's happening. Anyway. It is my personal experience and my personal opinion that Korean comedians in mainstream media outlets tend to be kind of cringy and not that funny to a non-Korean palate. A lot of what gets considered to be like funny or like worthy of being the topic of a comedy show in Korea tends to come across as like children's humor to me as an American. Now, this might not be the comedian's fault. This might be entirely the network's fault. It may just be my taste in comedy. I may just be being way too tough on everybody here. I don't know. But like most of the time, the jokes are like, look, one person's fat, or look over there, that person's not behaving in their normal social role. They had these shows like 개그 콘서트, which were just like, man, unwatchable. Everyone on stage is just like screaming the whole time. The quality of the jokes and the performances was like a beginner improv class, but the whole thing was broadcast in front of millions of people on network television. Now, the thing is, while I don't personally find Korean comedians on mainstream media outlets to be that funny or entertaining, I do find regular Korean people to be extremely funny. Whenever you see something like those street interview shows, some 아저씨 or 아줌마 can just run circles around host comedians and make them cry with laughter while being interviewed. Regular people are hilarious in Korea. The 피식대학 guys come across as just some regular goofy guys with a camera who decided to just publish themselves, which of course I'm all about. While they had made it into the major network systems, they weren't getting any gigs, so they decided to just go off on their own and make their own content, and make content they did. On their YouTube channel, they've developed a ton of different improv comedy series that have coalesced into like a cinematic universe, actually a multiverse now, that has brought them on multiple collision courses with mainstream media. And it's something really worth diving into if you're a Korean learner. So I have a whole host of reasons why this is excellent material for Korean learners. So before I introduce some of the different series to you, I want to give you a short list of why I think they're awesome for you as a learner. 1, most importantly, it's all natural Korean. Dramas aren't. Number 2 is that the natural Korean that they use is just that, natural. It's made up of the words and phrases that you'll hear most commonly, as opposed to drama dialogue, which is essentially written Korean spoken out loud. So all of this makes it easier to listen to. Trust me, this is actually easier to watch. 3, it's all subtitled, but it's not subtitled in a 예능 style. Just exactly what people are saying at the bottom of the screen to help you enjoy the media. 4, there is a mountain of content and it's still growing. There are hundreds of hours of the same group of people talking in different situations. And as you get used to their voices, you'll understand more and more of what they're saying. And number 5, it's a relevant window into Korean culture from about 20 years ago until right now. But it's all from the people's perspective. It's not a top-down look at Korean society. It has a very meme-y feel that I think a lot of millennials and Gen Z media consumers can really relate to. So the first series that I want to introduce to you is their probably longest running, but definitely one of their most popular series. It's called 한사랑 산악회. So let's break down the name of this series first. 한사랑 means one love, but it's kind of just like a generic name for a social organization here in Korea. You'll see churches with this name, youth groups with this name, people who clean up the park might have a name like this. It's kind of just a generic group name. 산악회 means mountain climbing club, hiking club. If you put it in a dictionary, it comes up as alpine club, but that doesn't sound very natural in English. So to summarize, this is basically the One Love hiking club or One Love mountain climbers, something like that. It doesn't translate super cleanly to English. If it does, it's not coming to me. It doesn't matter. You already speak English. You know what I'm talking about. The show follows 4 아저씨s who fit 4 different common stereotypes of the 아저씨 age group as they climb up various mountains all around Korea. That age group is kind of stuck between a more traditional Korean lifestyle and culture and the more modern, urbanized, globalized, middle class kind of lifestyle that a lot of people are living in every major city around the world these days. They're either a little bit too passive or a little bit too aggressive. They're a little loud. They're all extremely dramatic, or maybe you could just say passionate, because their slogan is 열정, 열정, 열정. The timing, editing, everything all kind of mimics real long-form Korean conversations about regular stuff between funny people. On top of that, this show has a super realistic depiction of the 사투리 that you'll run into when speaking with real Korean people. 2 of the men in the group have 경상도 accents, one much stronger than the other, which makes them excellent input practice for people trying to get familiarized with all of the ways that Korean people actually speak. I remember when Nanju and I first found this series and we were crying laughing at the introduction of Kim Young-nam, who sounds exactly like an old neighbor of ours. And actually, his job is the exact same as that old neighbor, running a 삼천리 bike store. It's too perfect. The characters are too perfect. Now, this video is not going to turn into a full-on, detailed, plot line following explainer for that show. I can make one of those if you want. It'll take some time, but I think you're better off just diving in either from an episode right now or going back to the beginning and trying to figure out what's going on for yourself. The second series that I want to introduce to you, which is kind of their main series at this point, is called 05학번 이제 백. Actually, now it's called 05학번 이제 희요. The story's gotten more complex, so they've changed the name of the series. Both titles have English in them, but it's hard to really translate the feel of those titles in English, so I won't. That's the name of the show. We're here to learn Korean. Enjoy it in Korean. This series originally followed the children of the 아저씨 in 한사랑 산악회. Their kids are all in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're all stuck in the 2000 to mid 2010s Korean pop culture. Their tastes, clothing, and their behavior are all exaggerated versions of Korean pop culture at that time, but they're living in our modern world. Kim Min-soo documents them all first person, and he like eggs them on to keep doing ridiculous stuff while laughing. Recently, though, he was transported to an alternate universe, and this new spin-off series that follows multiverse variants of the characters in the original series came out with this new name. Now they're living as modern stereotypes of ajoshi in a shindoshi, which means they're like middle-class, white-collar, suburban-style folks. This series teaches so much about Korean culture, and I think the setting itself tells you all you need to know about why you should be watching this. The final series that I want to introduce to you today is actually over, but it's the one that I think pushed them into the spotlight, the national spotlight, and it's also probably the best one for learners who are just getting started. The name of the series is B, like in English B, 대면 데이트. So 비대면 here is a stylized version of 비대면, which is the Korean word for like not face-to-face or no contact. This is one of the words that has become prominent during this pandemic. This pandemic, which, by the way, I am currently recovering from. Sorry if my voice sounds weird. Apologies. This series covers a group of different guys going on virtual dates with this same girl over this like FaceTime-like app. One of the breakout stars of this was a character named Choi-jun, who was a 카페 사장님, or a cafe owner, who is just like unbearable and therefore hilarious. Choi-jun's terrible singing that he keeps like awkwardly doing over the calls even started a new series on their channel where he just absolutely destroyed artists' famous songs while sitting right next to them and doing a cover together. Choi-jun became so popular that he was even appearing on ads and stuff in convenience stores a while back. It's pretty crazy. Now, there are two reasons this one's important for learners, even though it's over. One is that it's very slow paced. The actors are just imagining what the girl is saying back to them, and then they film the whole thing themselves with the front-facing camera on their phones. So there's like silent periods between their monologues. And two is the comment section. On these videos, the comment section is almost entirely full of Korean people playing along as if this whole thing were actually real. And I think this will give you an insight into the way that Koreans make references to things and build their collective meme culture and meme memory. So that's a brief introduction to the 피식대학 cinematic multiverse. I hope it's enough to get you interested in at least giving their content a shot to help your Korean learning. 피식대학 is made by Korean people for Korean people, but I think, ironically, it is much more accessible in terms of format and taste than almost any other type of Korean media. On top of that, it checks so many boxes for good immersion material, having subtitles, being naturally paced, being natural language, having lots of content, etc., etc., etc. I think this is an opportunity that no one can afford to pass up. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one. 열정, 열정, 열정! Hey, it's me again. I just want to let all of you know that I will be releasing content at least weekly, sometimes twice a week, going forward for the foreseeable future. I really appreciate all of the support that this community has given me as I've rebuilt and repopulated this channel with content. If you're interested in supporting future content on this channel and the development of resources for Korean learners, there are going to be more ways to support this channel in the future, but right now, everything you can do to support me is free. It just takes a couple of clicks. First, if you could just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you've turned on the notification bell so you get a little bzz bzz when I upload a new video, that'll help me out a lot. The second way that you can support the channel is by signing up for the mailing list, which is the best way to get updates on the projects that I'm working on. You can join the mailing list by going over to my website at koreanpatch.co and just signing up right there. It just takes a couple of clicks. It's pretty simple. You get some free downloads for signing up as well. So there you go. Thanks again for all the support, and I'll see you next time.